There is a bank in Basel, Switzerland that has never been audited by any government, never had its leadership confirmed by any elected body, and cannot be entered by Swiss police without permission. It has operated this way since 1930. Every major central bank on Earth is a member. In January 1930, 6 central banks and a group of private financial institutions signed the Constituent Charter of the Bank for International Settlements in the Hotel Savoy en Ville in Zurich. The stated purpose was administrative and orderly, to manage German reparation payments under the Young Plan following World War I, a neutral clearinghouse, a technical body, something boring enough that no citizen would think twice about it. The founding members were the central banks of England, France, Germany, Italy, Belgium, and Japan, alongside a consortium of American banks led by J.P. Morgan and Company. The United States Federal Reserve did not formally join, a distinction that would matter politically for decades. The BIS established its headquarters in Basel, chosen specifically because it sits at the meeting point of Switzerland, Germany, and France, 3 jurisdictions, which meant in practice none of them. What was written into the founding documents was not administrative language. It was sovereign language. The 1930 Hague Convention granted the BIS full diplomatic immunity. Its assets could not be seized. Its communications could not be intercepted. Its archives could not be subpoenaed. Its staff held immunities exceeding those of most foreign diplomats. Switzerland's own 1987 headquarters agreement later reaffirmed that Swiss authorities require BIS consent before entering the premises for any purpose. This was not an accident of drafting. These protections were requested, negotiated, and won. By the 1980s, the BIS had become the primary venue where central bank governors met in private, monthly, in what were called the Basel meetings. No minutes were published, no press was admitted. The communiques, when they existed, said almost nothing. Out of these meetings came the Basel Accords, the capital adequacy frameworks that determine how much risk every commercial bank on Earth is permitted to carry. Basel II in 1988, Basel II in 2004, Basel III finalized in 2017. Combined, these agreements govern the behavior of institutions holding more than $180 trillion in assets. Not one of these frameworks was ratified by a legislature. Not one BIS general manager has ever faced a confirmation hearing. The first crack is not hidden. It is structural. The architecture of exemption did not happen by accident. On May 20th, 1930, the BIS opened its doors in Basel, Switzerland, operating under a founding charter that granted it immunity from taxation, from search, from seizure, and from any legal process initiated by any member government. That language was not vague. Article 10 of the original Hague Agreement stated explicitly that BIS property and assets shall be immune from any administrative or legal process. No court, no audit, no elected official with standing to compel a single document. The tower that now stands at Eschenplatz 1, a cylindrical brutalist structure rising 70 meters above the Basel skyline, is not a building you can enter with a warrant. What happens inside that building shapes the cost of every mortgage, every business loan, every sovereign debt instrument on Earth. The Basel Accords, Basel I in 1988, Basel II in 2004, Basel III finalized in 2017, are the rulebooks that determine how much capital every commercial bank on the planet must hold against its risk exposure. These documents were drafted inside the BIS by the Basel Committee on Banking Supervision, a body composed of unelected central bank appointees. No legislature ratified them. No public comment period preceded them. Basel II, the framework active during the 2008 financial crisis, permitted banks to use their own internal risk models to calculate required capital. The largest institutions consistently modeled their exposure as lower than it was. That was not an accident of methodology. That was the framework working exactly as its authors designed it. By 2006, the Bank for International Settlements had documented the precise fragility building inside the global system. The BIS annual report published in June 2006 flagged, in language unusual for an institution that traffics in deliberate opacity, the risk of a synchronized global downturn driven by excessive leverage in credit markets. The report named the conditions. It named the instruments. Chief economist William White and his research team had been raising internal alarms since 2003. White presented his analysis directly to Federal Reserve Chairman Alan Greenspan at the annual Jackson Hole Economic Symposium in August 2003. Greenspan did not act. The IMF reviewed the same underlying data sets. The Financial Stability Forum, which was housed within the BIS itself, had member regulators from 17 nations. None of them moved. The system had a witness to its own unraveling, and the witness sat in a diplomatically immune tower, its conclusions non-binding by design. The human ledger of that inaction is specific. When Lehman Brothers filed for bankruptcy on September 15, 2008, it held approximately 26,000 employees worldwide who lost their jobs within weeks. The United Kingdom's pension protection framework absorbed the collapse schemes of over 150 companies in the 12 months following the crisis. In Iceland, where Basel capital rules had permitted banks to expand to 10 times the nation's GDP, unemployment doubled between 2007 and 2009. In Ireland, the government guarantee of 6 domestic banks issued on September 30, 2008, transferred 440 billion euros of private banking liability onto the public balance sheet, a decision made in a single overnight meeting with no parliamentary vote, because the speed of institutional collapse left no other architecture standing. These were not abstract numbers. They were the livelihoods that sat beneath a framework nobody had voted to install. The point of no return had already been crossed before any government knew to look for it. On January 1, 2007, Basel became the operative regulatory standard across the European Union under the Capital Requirements Directive. That date locked the internal risk model framework into law for every EU member state at precisely the moment credit default swap exposure in the global system exceeded $45 trillion. The BIS had the data. The framework it designed permitted the exposure to exist. And because the BIS itself answers to no parliament, no court, and no electorate, there was no mechanism, legal, political, or institutional, by which any democratic body could have reached inside that tower and changed the rules before the damage was done. When the BIS came under serious scrutiny, the findings were not hidden. They were documented, published, and then quietly shelved. The 1944 Bretton Woods Conference produced a formal resolution calling for the BIS to be liquidated. The evidence was clear. BIS officials had facilitated the transfer of gold looted from Nazi-occupied central banks, processing it through Basel while the war was still being fought. The resolution passed. The liquidation never happened. No BIS official was prosecuted. No formal reckoning came. The institution that handled stolen sovereign gold during the Second World War emerged from that war with its immunity intact, its charter untouched, and its influence expanding. The Basel Accords that followed, Basel I in 1988, Basel II in 2004, Basel III after the 2008 collapse, were written inside that same tower by committees that answer to no legislature on earth. When the global financial system fractured in 2008, regulators pointed to inadequate capital requirements. Those requirements had been set in Basel. The BIS published its own post-crisis analysis. It acknowledged miscalibration. No one was removed. No government voted to restructure the institution. The men who designed the framework that failed simply designed the next one. Basel III is the framework every major bank on earth operates under today. The BIS still holds diplomatic immunity in Switzerland. Its staff cannot be taxed by the Swiss government. Its premises cannot be searched. Its records cannot be subpoenaed by any court. It coordinates monetary policy for central banks representing over 95% of global GDP. and not one of those coordination meetings has ever been subject to a public vote. The single most consequential financial institution you were never taught about in school is still open, still deciding, and still untouchable. The question worth sitting with is this: if the rules require transparency from every bank on earth, who decided the bank that writes the rules gets none? What do you think? Can a system this insulated from democratic accountability ever actually serve the public interest? Or is that the wrong question entirely? Drop your answer below. And if you want to keep pulling on threads like this one, subscribe now, because every week we expose another system they hoped you would never understand.